told your friend you're not okay? And tell me what's wrong and why you never said you felt that way. And guess you're trying to stay strong and fake a smile until I look away. But I've known you too long, it hurts to watch your blue eyes fade to gray as you fade away, as you fade away.
Welcome to the Journey of Life podcast powered by Zozo, the brand. If improving yourself, elevating and educating yourself is part of your life's goals, this is the podcast for you. I'm your host, Dr. Tundaisha Monalisa, and I'm so excited to be back. I'm so sorry for abandoning you guys without a word, but yeah, a lot was happening. In short, life has changed for me. I have a new lifestyle. I moved to a new place and I started a new job. So I just allowed myself to be in that season of adjustment and embracing, I think, that period of my life and all the challenges that are coming with it as well. So yeah, I'm trying to incorporate everything that I want to keep doing on this podcast and other things into this lifestyle so that I can balance it. So I appreciate your patience, okay? And of course, I'd love to continue the Depression Isn't a Joke series. And I know this is my solo series that I have with you guys where I basically share my life's journey. This is what it's become, slowly but surely. And I'm happy to be here. I'm so happy to be here. This space is the space I feel really comfortable in. So yeah, this episode is really something, but I said I'm gonna come back with a bang. Yeah, because I'm going to share a very personal part of my life's journey, and of course I don't live in a vacuum. There's people involved, and I wrote the notes for this episode a few months ago actually, but I was quite hesitant to share and to talk about it because the people involved, maybe there's some listeners who know them and this could possibly paint them in a bad light or whatever. But I think my disclaimer is everybody is a villain in someone's story, including myself. And this happened many years ago. So I know that I'm a different person now from the person I was then. And I can imagine it's the same for them as well. So yeah, this is retrospectively telling this story, the lessons I learned, and hopefully that can teach someone, that can equip someone with, what to look out for in themselves and when going out there and navigating friendships, relationships, with people. So, yeah, I think the last episode I shared, my struggle with, financial abuse. I think this is how it felt for me, and everything that happened there as I was adjusting in a new environment and the struggle that came with that, and the depressive episodes that I had, even though I wasn't really aware that this is what I was going through and everything like that while I was in BMC, which is basically the pre-med course that I was having. So shortly after that, I finished, this pre-med course, and I was going to start med school and to become first year. We had a summer break. Lots of people went home. I didn't go home. I was in the summer. So I think shortly before that, in that dark season, where I felt all alone and I felt like I had no one and everything like that, I remember I started to talking to this guy like on Facebook, and we started talking, and I think for me mostly what I wanted was like companionship, company at the time. So of course, he was moving to me, but not really trying to make any type of commitment and everything like that. And for me, I think I just wanted his presence, not necessarily that I really liked him or something like this. So it was actually sad, like looking back, at how lonely I was, how alone I felt. But anyways, as I got my confidence back and I started making friends and everything like that, this situationship, as it was, started to lose its value because they weren't there in the capacity that all these people who were coming into my life were. And I asked them if what exactly they wanted. Did they want a relationship? Did they want this? And I think at that point I'd already checked out from the situation because I realized that I wanted and I deserved more. I wasn't operating from that place of desperation anymore. And I just went my way. So in that post that, in the summer, it's summer, there's no school, people are just chilling who haven't traveled home yet and everything like that. So one of my friends invited me to like a sport that they played and stuff like that. So I was like, okay, cool, let's go. And I was just going to watch them play. So of course, there was a guy there and he seemed like really cool, really chill and everything like that. And then they all started like escorting me home because I lived like really far from where they were playing the sports and stuff like that. So the boys are now escorting me home, and then this guy just starts like chatting me up, and I was chatting him up as well. And he's asking me, so where are you from? And I'm like, oh, I'm from Zimbabwe. And he's like, wow, I never met someone from Zimbabwe before, so let's call this guy Barans. Oh, my Zimbabwean people. Anyways, it's just a joke. Baranzi. So let's call this guy Baranzi. So, I'm talking to Baranzi, and he seems so pleasant and really cool. And I really appreciated that, because it was quite late, and I think he continued with the rest of the guys who were escorting me and missed his turn off to his place because he lived a bit closer than where I lived. And, they all escorted me together. So I really appreciated that. So I invited them for some food. Boys, they're always hungry and everything. So I had some leftovers and everything. I warmed everything up and I gave the boys some food. Two of the other guys were already like my friends. So it was the usual. We're always hanging out at my place. I would make some food. We'd all watch movies together, summer vibes, and just chill together. So he came with them, and they ate and everything, and they left. So I think we exchanged like Facebook or something, Messenger, at the time and everything. So from then, he was like, oh, hey, thank you so much, for the food. I really appreciated it. Wow, that was really amazing, that, you were so kind and everything. So I really appreciated the gratitude that he showed, because my friends didn't even say like, oh, thank you, for the food or anything like that. And this is something that I really appreciate in people. And of course, at that time, because I was going out more, I think I was now meeting more guys, and, they tried to chat me up, but they weren't really my vibe, right? So this is how we met with Baranzi. And then from there, I was like, he seems like a nice guy. And I was kind of getting the feeling that he's interested in me, but I'm not one to jump the gun until you tell me explicitly that, hey, I like you and I would like to get to know you, or I would like to take you on a date. You don't like me. You are not even interested in me. You don't even see me as a person. So for me, I just, brushed it off. And then he was like, oh, yeah, would you like to come to the sports again and everything like that? And I'm not a tracker. I'm not a runner. I'm not a trackster. I don't like walking. So, but anyways, it was really interesting. And I was like, okay. He was like, yeah, I'll come get you and then we'll go together. I was like, okay, cool. So I think the next day or the day after that, he comes to get me from my apartment, and then we like walk together to the sports center. They play the sports, and then we walk back and we're just like talking, chatting, different things. And he seemed like a really wholesome guy, but at the time I felt like I think I should be in my healing phase. I shouldn't really entertain anybody interested in me and stuff like that, right? But he was so nice, so kind, you know. And then after that, he was like, oh, could we go on a walk? And I was like, yeah, sure. So he was approaching me very differently from how all the other guys had been approaching me. And I really appreciated like the wholesomeness and everything. Just a walk, and we were just talking. I remember the conversation that we had was about our beliefs, you know, as Christians. And he talked about his family a lot. And, you know, it was just so wholesome to me. So, of course, there was a little spark in me. I was like, oh my gosh, he seems like a really good, nice, wholesome guy, you know? So I think after that, I was like, you know what? Let me entertain him more. I enjoy hanging out with him. No harm. From there, we started hanging out more, and then eventually he now like wrote to me, oh, you know, I really like you, and I'd really like to see if like we can be more than friends, type of thing. And I remember initially I was just like, oh no, you know, I just see you as a friend. I think you're really nice and things like that, whatever. And I tried to dodge it, but you know, he was persistent, not pushing too much, but just persistent enough. And I think I had that moment in myself where I was like, you know what? I've gone through this really shitty situation with this person who was not invested in me, even though I wasn't either. But I think I wanted to feel seen. I wanted to feel valued, and I didn't get that. And then I woke up from that, you know, dream. So I was like, but I deserve somebody who values me in this way. I also deserve to be happy. I enjoy his company. He's so wholesome. The conversations we have are so wholesome. We always talk about like, you know, things that are wholesome, things that are progressive. And I was like, nah, this is the guy for me. And that's when I made that choice that this was the guy for me. And listen, when they say someone is head over heels, I fell in love. I would say this was literally my first love. My first time, no offense to all the small boyfriends that I had before that. It was the first time I actually felt emotionally invested in somebody. You know, to feel this deep care that I almost could not help, if that makes sense. That's how I would describe how deeply I felt for him. And I felt those feelings were just as strongly like being reciprocated, in fact, to me. So before we go any further, I think it's really, really important to note out the things that I valued in a guy at that time. And as I proceed with the story, you will see how that ties into also the lessons that I'm going to give you concerning like this story. It's a very long story. I'm probably going to break it down into parts and different stages of the relationship because we were together for an extended period of time and we were evolving and we were changing, right? So I'll break it down. So here I'm just giving you the highlight of like the first year of the relationship. So at the time, the things that I valued in a guy was one, and I still value this up until now, was humility. Two, I valued somebody who doesn't come from a broken home. And I valued somebody who was interested in me, like invested in me. My standards, I wouldn't say they were in the ground, but they they were in hell. Because as long as you were interested in me and then maybe you didn't have my icks, that was pretty much good enough for me. So these are the traits that I saw in him. And, you know, when you meet people, of course, we are always going to present our best selves and things like that. I was doing the same. He was doing the same. So, yeah, I saw these like quality traits in, you know, the times that we hung out. And we were hanging out a lot because, you know, it was summer, there wasn't school and stuff like that. So we were always free to basically hang out. And the connection grew strong and fast, right? So yeah, these were the main three things. Humility doesn't come from a broken home and somebody who's interested in me, right? And I wrote down the lessons here, and you will see how that comes into play. Lesson number 1, take your time. Time, when, elders or parents, they tell us these things, we don't value it as much as we are supposed to, but take your time. Why? Because time will reveal everything. Even for yourself, how you show up in relationships or friendships, time will reveal that as well. The mask, your mask, their mask will come off, and then you really know who you're dealing with. Take your time. Don't be quick to jump into the relationship or something like this. It's good to take your time to know somebody. 2, learn to question yourself. Learn to question why you value the things you're valuing, which is something that I've started to do more now. Because of course at the time I didn't question myself why humility was so important to me. Why was it so important to me? Or why was it so valuable to me if someone didn't come from a broken home? Why was it so valuable to me if someone was interested in me, right? So learn to question your values. Where are they coming from? What is the root? 3, just because someone doesn't come from a broken home, it doesn't mean they're not broken in one way or the other. This is a lesson that I had to learn, and I think this is a lesson that a lot of people have to learn. Some of the things that we associate with good things, it doesn't necessarily mean that if those things are present in someone's life, it automatically makes them a great candidate for you. It automatically gives them these qualities that you value about a person. Just because somebody comes, for example, somebody comes from a 2-parent household, they've been married for 1 billion years, it doesn't necessarily mean that they're never going to cheat on you. If someone comes from a family where maybe you feel like, oh my gosh, they have all these great values and everything like that, it doesn't necessarily mean that they will choose the same lifestyle or they will have the same moral compass. Everybody is different, so you have to see someone for who they are. And that also applies to people that may not come from the best backgrounds. It doesn't necessarily mean that they are also bad or they are toxic or whatever. So yeah, I think it's important to make your evaluation of someone based off of their qualities, how they behave, how they treat you and make you feel, right? Okay, so we proceed with the story. And so, I'm talking to this guy, we're still hanging out a lot and everything. So I remember that summer he was then going to travel back home for the summer. But of course, at this point, we've solidified our relationship, we're boyfriend and girlfriend, and that made me feel really good because it made me feel secure. We had this established. It was not a situationship like I had before. I felt loved, I felt appreciated, and he was so kind and he was so generous. Even towards his friends, he would really be so generous with them, maybe help them out with money or things like that. And I was just like, oh my God, this guy is so giving. I really, really respected and loved that quality about him. And I just saw the best in him. And in general, I tend to be this person. I think I'm a person who can pick out all the good qualities that someone has or has the potential to have. And that has always been my blind spot. And once I've decided on those qualities, that's what I would choose to see in that person, because I think I also want them to see themselves in that light. And I would tend to ignore the negative qualities that they have because I'm fixated on them being this good person that they can be. So he goes back home and, we have our relationship thing going on. We're texting each other. It's just so sweet and everything. It was just so beautiful. I was so madly in love. I cannot speak for him, but it seemed like it was mutual. And I think that's what made me feel safe to fall. I literally fell. And I think there were certain aspects about the relationship that, looking back, I saw how much it was catering to what I was needing, what I was lacking. And this is why it made it even more valuable and meaningful to me. So one of my love languages are physical affection. Of course, I really appreciate all 5 of them. A physical affection, right? And I think it's something that I require from a partner, but I'm not a very physically affectionate person in my friendships. And I remember having this discussion with one of my best friend, literally, and she was telling me, she can count how many times like we've hugged, and I was like, are you serious? And I was like, do you need more hugs from me? And she was like, no, I think you're really good at expressing yourself. And there was never a time that she needed a hug and I didn't give it. But in general, I'm not the friend that's going to make too much physical contact with you. And I think also it's because I don't come from a family where we're very physically affectionate, kissy, kissy, huggy, huggy. We're not like that. So for me, it's not something, I'm not like this. But with my partners, I definitely have that expectation. I want to be hugged, I want to be cuddled, and all these things. So I think these things came so naturally to him that it just made me feel so safe and so warm. And I felt like this person really, really cares about me. And I wanted to feel safe. I think it had been so long. I'm away from my family. I'm away from people who naturally and instinctively feel safe for me without even having to necessarily express it physically through a hug, through a this. It's my family. It's my parents. I know they love me. So for me, it was like for a random person, a stranger who doesn't even know me, to care for me so much, to love me like this, to care about how I feel, to hug me, to cuddle me, to, wipe my tears when I'm crying. It meant the world to me. And I was like, oh my God, this person absolutely loves me and adores me. That's how I felt. So of course, for me, it was like, they deserve to feel this from me as well. They deserve my love. I'm going to give them all I have because they are giving me all I need or all I want, as I felt at the time. So they were also in med school and everything like that. So I was just like, oh my gosh, we're gonna be this power couple doing med school together, powering through. And then in the end, we're going to, oh guys, I had the whole thing in my head. I had the whole thing in my head, but I will tell you the picture that I had. Every time I tell my friends, after we actually broke up, we laughed so hard about it. They laughed at me so hard about it. But you guys, I had the whole picture of how this thing was going to end in my head a little bit, right? We started the semester because, I told you guys we met in summer. We started our relationship in the summer. We started the semester. Everything is going so great. He's doing so well. And, it was really motivating me and encouraging me, and everything like that. So, yeah, it was just great. Everything was just great. We went on dates a lot. We were always eating out. We were always together. It was lovely. It was amazing. I was so, so, so happy in that relationship. We finished that semester with flying colors. He did so amazing. I did well. I completed everything as well. And it was like, yeah, great. Everything's going well. Then the next semester starts and things start to shift a little. So before actually I even go there, I think the first red flag that I dismissed was, I think, so I noticed that there was this girl that would always pop up on his Snapchat, right? And for me, I was just like, of course, the girl is in love. Jealousy. Hey, he's like top tier like this. But I don't think I'm going to cause a ruckus type of person. Like, I'm going to watch you. I'm going to watch you, but I'm not going to scream or anything like this. So I started to be like curious about this, you know. I was like, who's this girl? You know, she keeps popping out, she keeps popping out. So I pretty much like asked him about it. And then he told me that, this girl was a girl that's like, they had a thing, but he didn't really like her. He didn't want to have a relationship or like something committed, but she was still interested in him and everything like that. And, you know, but you know, he's here with me and everything like that. So for me, I was just like, oh, it's a person who's basically chasing after him. So for me, I was like, I'm not too concerned about it. But I think I didn't take note of how much he was entertaining it, considering that he was, quote unquote, not interested, right? So this also comes to play in the future, this pattern of entertaining girls that supposedly like him, but he's not interested in them for whatever reason. So I think I remember I ignored it. And then she pops up again, and then I see the conversation, and the conversation was about him coming to like see her at her place. And I was like, what's the deal? Like, what's going on? And then he was like, yeah, I mean, you know, we're still cool, we're still friends. And honestly, I completely trusted him. So for me, it was almost like I was like, what is she on about? She should leave you alone. And even if you guys are going to be friends, it should be at a respectful distance kind of thing. So I was like, I think you should. He was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to talk to her and express to her that I have a girlfriend now and everything like that, so that, you know, she can be at a healthy distance. I was like, okay, cool. And it seemed like that happened. And I think I saw the conversation, and yeah, she didn't pop up anymore, you know, as much as before. And honestly speaking, I was so naive, I was so clueless, and I was so in love. And I also thought that he was so in love with me. I was the best thing that ever happened to him, and he was the best thing that ever happened to me. So yeah, this is my great guy. He won't cheat. He's the most humble guy I've ever seen. He doesn't care too much about, you know, material things and things like that. So he's not that kind of guy who's looking for babes on roads. He's not the kind of guy who's a street guy. I got myself a good guy who's going to be faithful to me, and I'm going to be faithful to him, of course. This was what I had in my head. So the second semester comes along, and things started to shift in the relationship a little bit. And I remember there was one particular time also, like, we had made plans that he was going to come to my place, and then it ended up not happening, and I was really upset about it. And I remember at the time I was not really good at expressing my emotions. And I think that's also partly because I'd never been in a true relationship where I felt really strongly about someone. So I didn't know how to regulate these emotions that I would feel. Like, I really, really want to see him very badly, and we've made plans, and I'm so excited. And then he comes up with an excuse that I thought was just like stupid, and I'll be so angry, like I'll be having palpitation. I wouldn't express it to him, but I would feel so bad. And then he would show up, and then he would say, oh, no, you know, don't be so upset and everything. And then I'll just mouth back again. And, you know, these small things are kind of happening, and I'm starting to get used to it. I'm starting to get used to him not honoring his commitments, you know, when we've said we're going to do something, him kind of slacking on it, or dismissing it for tomorrow or the day after tomorrow. And so there was this pattern now that it would be like he wouldn't want to see me. And it was really, really odd and weird to me. Like, he would be like, oh yeah, you know, maybe it's like Monday. Okay, we'll see on Wednesday. And I'm like, why? We should see every day. We live in the same city. We go to the same uni. We're literally doing the same program. To me, it just didn't make sense. There is no reason why we shouldn't see each other every day or interact every single day at some point in our day. So it started to feel like he was trying to keep distance, and it felt really bad for me. And that being said, I think there are people who need space. You know what I mean? And everything like that. And for me, I felt like I wanted to be in his space. I wanted to live in his skin, sis. Like, the girl was in love. I want to live inside your skin. That's how I felt, you know? So all this distance, everything, it was really hard on me. And I didn't understand why, because it was also feeling like it's a new thing. It wasn't like that before. So it's kind of like slowly but surely like increasing the distance, but I'm adjusting and getting used to it. And I don't want to overwhelm him. I don't want to, how can I say, like, stifle him, you know. I can't get the word that I really want to use. But yeah, I didn't want to, exactly, I didn't want to smother him. I didn't want him to feel like I was smothering him. So I took a step back and also tried to, you know, I was really struggling, you know, because I didn't have the skills to be in a relationship. So everything that I did, it came from that, oh, I don't want to smother him. So I need to consider, you know, maybe he's feeling smothered. Okay, let me take a step back. So I would always try to find my solutions, but it was just blindly. It wasn't like from a wisdom place. It was just from trying to blindly find solutions on how to navigate a relationship for the first time in my life. And then I think, yeah, so the second semester comes along and there's a really huge shift, you know. He's becoming even more distant, you know, and then things started to just completely shift. This motivated, driven guy that I'd met was slowly chipping away. And I was just like, what is going on? What is happening with this guy, you know? I met this guy who was super driven and everything. We're going to do med school together. And it was giving, yeah, we're going to be power couple vibes. And then now he's not really focused. Now he's not really doing what he's supposed to do. And, you know, I'm really attracted to intelligence, to someone who's driven, to, you know, things like that. So for me, I was just like, what is this? It was like this bomb behavior. And, you know, I'm this go, we are gonna go, you know, and in my head I'm like, yeah, we're gonna be a power couple and everything. And I'm just like, what in the dustiness is happening, you know? So I could see that he's not feeling very motivated and stuff. And I was like, you know, trying to encourage him and stuff. Hey, you know, you've got your classes, you know, do your thing. So I think another thing that I was now picking up, because now I'm more involved in his life, and he wasn't alone. He was with his sibling. So these are some of the things I wouldn't pick up from the sibling, because they'll be like, oh, you know, you've started not concentrating again. You know, you're playing too much on your PlayStation. You know, you should be studying. You should be focusing. And the way they would express it, it would seem like this has been how this person has been. And yet to me, I'm just like, what is she talking about? Like, my man is like the smartest guy I've ever met, the most driven guy I've ever met. He even like helps me to be driven, and we're a power couple. Like, I feel like you don't know your sibling. That's how it felt to me, you know, in the beginning. And then I'm starting to realize that I think they know something that I don't, clearly. So I'm trying to adjust to this version of him that is so distant, that is so unmotivated. And because there wasn't no motivation anymore from him, there was no motivation for the relationship as well. It was just like his drive just dropped in everything. And I was like completely caught off guard. And I remember me struggling, you know, with first year at the time. And I'm just struggling to get by, no clue what I was doing and everything like that. And I was a group leader in my group. Everything was crazy, you know, but I'm just trying to stay afloat, because to me, I was like, hey, I know where I'm coming from. We are going to get this done by hook or crook, whatever it takes, you know. So I'm also powering through the semester as much as I can. And then I remember this one time, you know, I went to his place and we were just like having a heart-to-heart, and we were talking, because I just felt like he was super distant and everything like that. And then he was just like, oh, you know, you're such a sweet girl. You're just so perfect and everything like that. And I can't do this to you. I don't think I can do this relationship thing anymore. And I was just so confused. Listen, I've felt heartbreak before, but that first heartbreak, it crossed my blood-brain barrier for sure. It went into my CSF like, whoo! It was so deep. I cried like a baby. I cried like a baby. I was so hurt. And we're all both like crying together. Yo, young love. We're both crying together. And I'm just like, but if you're so hurt by this as well, why are you doing this? I don't want to be broken up with you. I'm not complaining. I'm saying let's figure it out together. How can you say that I'm so good that you want to break up with me? It hurt my feelings so badly. And I felt like, we needed each other and I wanted to be his support and everything like that. But I think one thing I have always been sure about is like, if someone has expressed that they don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore, never force it. If you sit down with them and you are trying, if you both can't come to a resolution, and if they don't want anymore, it's okay. It's their choice, and I should respect that. So I respected this decision, and I was like, okay, I'm going home. Guys, that journey was the longest journey I ever had in my life, because now I don't want to be on the tram because I'm going to bump into people that I know, and I'm just so upset that even if I could feel that even if someone just says hi to me, I'm going to burst into tears. So here I am, just trying to hold it together. Instead of taking the tram, I just walked home. And as I'm walking home, I went home, and I remember I had an afternoon class that I was supposed to go back to the campus for. I go home, I bawl my eyes out, and then I have a good sleep. That sleep after you've cried your heart out is the best. And I just wake up to this nightmare, and I'm just so upset and everything like that. I go to the lecture, and then one of my really good friends, Tsungi, she had experience, being in a relationship before. So, she sees that I'm not doing fine and everything. She's like, what's going on? And of course, when she asked me, I tell her, and I just start bawling. And she was like, hey, breakups, they hurt. And it's going to hurt really badly, and it's going to feel like it's never going to feel better, but it will. I'm telling you, it's going to feel better. So it's going to really hurt right now. She really consoled me. I'll never forget that, And, she walked with me, and, I'm crying and I'm upset and I'm trying to wipe my tears. I'm trying to be strong and everything like that. I'm just like, oh my God, like the love of my life. Like, what's happening? Like, why are we even breaking up? We're both upset about it. So what's the point? It's not like, in my head, people should break up when the relationship is like toxic and, and everything like that. So to me, it felt like, but he still loves me. He still cares about me. And I haven't done something wrong, because I think I was trying to figure out what I've done wrong. And he's saying that I haven't done anything wrong. And to me, I'm just like, so we shouldn't be breaking up. We should be coming together to fix whatever is wrong. This is how I was thinking in my head. Right? So yeah, I realized, I can't make it home by myself. So I go to my other friend's place. Dr. Chido, she's been here on the podcast, literally my sister. And I remember that summer is the summer we got really, really close, if I'm not mistaken. Is that it? No, it was the following summer. We had actually just met and we were just getting to know each other, but we hadn't become as we were to get super close that summer. Okay, yes, now I remember. But I go to her place. Her arms are always open. She's the most empathetic person I know. And then I went, to her place, and immediately I got to her door and she opened. I just dropped into her arms and I started crying, and she held me until, I calmed down a little bit, and, I explained to her what had happened. And I remember my boyfriend and I had visited her before, and she was always so cute, and like, oh, you guys are so cute together and everything. So now I'm coming here with this devastating news, guys, that, oh my God, like, he's broken up with me and this is what happened, and I'm so upset. She makes some food for me, I eat, we pray together, and then yeah, I'm now calm, I feel better, and everything like that. I'm not even crying anymore. I think we're watching something, and boom, boyfriend calls, Baranzi calls. You don't know the cream bun smile from ear to ear. I was just like, he's calling. And then he calls and he's like, oh babe, I'm so sorry. I don't know why I'm being so stupid. Like, you're literally the best thing that has happened to me, you know, and everything like that, blah blah blah. And then we resolve, and I was just like, and then he now comes, and then it's just this reunion. And yeah, I'm happy again, you know, to be together and everything like that. But definitely from that point, things had changed. He had changed. The person I met, he was, things were different. But I think I started to feel that he was struggling with himself, like motivation and things like that. And honestly, looking back, I think he was also struggling with his own mental health at the time. But I personally didn't have any tools to identify this or to even help him. I could barely identify my own mental struggles and help myself. I was just getting by, you know, with prayer, with, you know, community support from friends and things like that. This is what was helping me to just keep going on and on and on, but not really necessarily like deeply addressing anything. So, you know, I'm hustling through this semester, trying to salvage it. This was a really big blow on me at the time. But again, I've always been this kind of person that, you know, I'm this person that nothing's going to affect my goals. And my goal was school, as it's always been. So for me, I was of the thought that, you know, as long as I achieve this, we're good. Nothing's going to move me. Nothing's going to shake me. So I struggled through that semester. I powered through, and I managed to salvage it without having to like repeat a semester. So fortunately, God came through for me. Everything went well. But unfortunately for him, he wasn't able to salvage his semester, which was another blow on him. And then subsequently a blow on the relationship as well. So now he's just homebound, doesn't want to leave his room, his bed. He doesn't want to do anything. He just wants to play his PlayStation. He doesn't want to even spend time with me, hang out with me. But I would go to study, go from school, go check on him every single day, you know, go check on him, go spend time with him. I wanted to spend time with him, and I also wanted to encourage him, sit down with him, try to, you know, motivate and talk positively, speak positively into him and everything like that, and remind him of, you know, who he is. As far as I knew, you know, how great he is, how smart he is, how motivated he is, and how capable he is, because I felt that I have seen it. I saw how you literally just blended the whole semester together and had the best grade. So for me, I was like, yeah, you had a downtime, but you're absolutely capable, you know. So I could tell that he was really depressed, and, you know, and his self-esteem was really down, and I was trying to be the encouraging girlfriend and supportive, even though I was not getting anything back. And I remember one of the times he had a really good friend of his, a girl, and I remember we were on campus, and we used to be that couple that was always together, you know, and he became quite distant, even like physically. You know, like I said, this is a big love language for me. So, you know, holding hands, this type of thing is a really big deal to me. But he would just be distant. It was almost like I was the one he was distancing himself from. And it hurt very much, because if anything, I was trying to be supportive. I was trying to help. And I couldn't understand why I was a villain in some way. It felt like I'm a villain. It's me he's trying to stay away from. And I remember that time we had met in the campus. So of course we'd always hug and things, but like he didn't really hug me. We just started like walking together to go home. And then he met his friend, and he was like so excited. So whenever he would meet his friends, he would be like so pleasant and, you know, super, you know, that guy. He was just the chill guy, somebody that everybody's gonna love kind of guy. You know what I mean? So, you know, he would be so excited, hugs his friend, how are you, and everything. And then when you're meeting me, you know, and in my head, I was like, oh, I see what's happening here. I'm the person he can be vulnerable with. and he can fully show his emotions, whether it's sadness or feeling low and everything. So if anything, I convinced myself not to take offense, because I was the actual person he was expressing his raw, authentic feelings and emotions with. So I was like, oh, maybe I should take it, because actually he's being real with me, and he's actually not being real with them. He's being strong in front of them. So once more, I've convinced myself that it's okay for me to take this energy from him, even though it was really hurting me and it was taking a mental toll on me, So of course, at the end of that semester, I fortunately salvaged mine and everything. And, people go home for the summer. I always stay for the summer, so I'm going to be around for the summer. And he breaks up with me again. He says, he thinks that he may not be continuing. There's a possibility that he will not be continuing in med school. And, he's just, feels like he's not good enough for me. And I'm so good to him. I'm so great to him. And, he's not as great and everything like that. And for me, I think I started to get desensitized to this, because it's already happened one time before and we got back together and he got back to his senses. So at this time, I think I wasn't as heartbroken as I was. It hurt, but it wasn't as bad as the first time. And to me, it was just like, okay, if this is how he feels, it's okay. And for me, I was like, hey, whatever decision you make, I'm really in support of it. And you know what? I'm rooting for you and everything like that. And he would always express how much med school wasn't really his first choice, but it was something that was really like a family thing and something that his folks really wanted him to pursue. So it has always been a struggle to stay motivated for something that he felt wasn't really his dream. And I could empathize with that. So for me, it was just like, hey, whatever you decide and whatever you decide to pursue, I'm really here for you. I'm rooting for you 100% and everything. So he broke up with me and everything, and he traveled back home. And I stayed behind. But my heart was with him, And I was just like, oh, God, I really want him to be happy. That's what I really wanted for him. Whatever that means, if he's able to start over and pursue something he's truly happy in and loves, I will be happy for him. If he still wants to see this through, I'll be in another place. I'll be happy for him. That's all I wanted at the time. And that's how I know that the love that I felt for him was genuine. Because as much as I wanted to be with him, it never trumped me wanting happiness for him, good things for him to feel happy and to feel fulfilled in life. So, I'm actually going to end the episode here. So watch out for the next part where I continue the madness, But before I end it, I just want to express my own red flags at that time, because I think it's really important, because in hindsight, which is always 20/20 vision, by the way, I got to see my own red flags, because I think the fact that I was processing all these things that were happening in this way, and I was tolerating certain things from him, it really reflected something on me. So here are the red flags that I wrote. 1, I just wanted to be chosen. So the fact that this person had chosen me was really the most valuable thing. And when you're operating from that mindset, when you just want to be chosen, it means that within yourself, you already feel like you're not good enough to be chosen. You're too flawed. You're too this. So it's like when someone finally chooses you, you see it as if they're doing you a favor. You know what I mean? Like they're choosing you and you're not even worth it. So you will always attach in that way. And it's a negative way, because it's coming from a negative self-reflection, So that was my red flag. I just wanted to be chosen. And it's something that I think will keep coming up for a very long time, actually. And you'll see as I tell you guys my life's journey. My other red flag, I was operating from my trauma, which was one of the reasons why I chose this particular guy. and I valued those specific traits. So I will speak about my background a little bit without getting into too much detail. Maybe I'll find the courage to go in detail at a later time. But yeah, but I think from my background, seeing a lot of infidelity and, you know, this culture of men womenizing and, you know, being pompous and being, yeah, womanizers. And, you know, the typical traits are very, you know, very pompous, very narcissistic vibe with all this like, you know, trying to splurge, and they always make sure that like they look good and they're dressed nice and they're trying to splurge and they're trying to show off and all this. I think for me, it was like that became my standard, that I want the complete opposite of this. Anything that reflects opposition to this is what I want in a guy. And I attach that to the complete opposite of that, to someone being faithful and someone being humble and someone, you know, essentially being the good fit for me. So I think this is what made this particular guy so attractive to me, because it represented the opposite of what I felt was like what I didn't want. So basically he represented what I didn't want, and yet I definitely want somebody who's going to spoil me. I definitely want somebody who's going to, you know, who dresses nice, who cares about how they look and all these other things. But I think for me, it was just this extreme protective mechanism that made me, you know, feel like those traits were just red flags altogether with no filter. So that's red flag number 2. Red flag number 3, I was not good at communicating my feelings. You know, I remember being so easily upset about things, you know, and maybe being moody and not really talking about what I'm feeling, but just having like a mood, you know, being passive aggressive a little bit and all these things. So these were some of my red flags. You know, I wanted someone to not be begging me before I say. In my head, I completely believed that when someone does something wrong to you, they know that they have. And for me, it felt like I shouldn't have to explain to you that 1, 2, 3 is a wrong thing. So for me, I would always choose to be upset, because to me it's like, but you should know that this will upset me, and it's an upsetting thing. So I didn't know how to communicate my feelings. 4, I thought that I could love somebody until they were whole. I really thought that that's what love was about. Like, if I love you, I could love him so much until he believed the things that I believed. I could love him so much that he would start seeing in himself the potential that I could see, the person that I would see. I thought that I could love him until he saw that. That is not your responsibility. That is the responsibility of self. And with that, I'm going to end the episode here. Watch out for the next one, because in the next episode, we're going to discuss narcissism. Oh, you guys are not ready for the roller coaster that I went through. So yeah, guys, make sure to keep listening. I'm looking forward to being back more regularly. I can't promise. But yeah, guys, until next time, stay blessed and bon voyage.
As you fade away, as you fade away.